What if I told you that many people today are living in a state of quiet defeat? It's not due to a lack of talent, but rather a lack of mental resilience. We find ourselves endlessly scrolling, comparing our lives to others, and feeling that familiar twinge of envy. Then we're left wondering why we feel so stuck, weak, or lost. We chase after comfort, yet end up feeling drained. We shy away from pain, but still find ourselves suffering day in and day out. The truth can be tough to swallow. Comfort is slowly suffocating us. On the flip side, struggle, though it can be brutal, holds the key to real strength. Here's the kicker. The ancient Stoics understood this long before the days of smartphones, social media, or self-help books. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's not just a quote. It's a powerful mindset, a tool for navigating chaos without losing your footing. Stoicism doesn't promise an easy life. It empowers you to become unstoppable. In this video, we're going to dive deep into 8 tough Stoic laws that will challenge you to elevate your mental, emotional, and spiritual game. This isn't about inspirational fluff. It's about real talk and real change. Each of these laws is rooted in the raw truths of Stoicism, tested in the fires of ancient Rome and still painfully relevant today. Before we jump in, I need you to do one thing. If you're truly committed to growth, don't just sit back and watch this like it's another motivational video. This isn't background noise. It's your wake-up call. Hit that like button right now. Leave a comment as we go along, especially when something resonates with you. Share this with someone who could use it. And most importantly, don't skip any part, because missing even one law could cost you clarity or courage when it matters most. Let's get started. Number 1. Embrace discomfort like an old friend. We've been conditioned to flee from pain, but the Stoics taught us to do the opposite. Run toward it with your eyes wide open. Think about your biggest moments of growth. Did they happen when you were comfortable, relaxed, and everything was easy? Or did they come when life threw a betrayal, illness, and yet he remained calm? He didn't shy away from discomfort. Instead, he welcomed it as a way to grow. The obstacles we face can actually propel us forward. What stands in our way can become our path. Marcus Aurelius said it best. This isn't just poetic nonsense. It's a fundamental truth. Every challenge is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve. Every setback tests your patience, and every rejection teaches you resilience. In today's world, we often hear, avoid pain, but Stoicism gently reminds us, prepare for it. That cold shower is a challenge. That tough conversation is a journey. That workout when you're feeling drained, that's where your character is forged. The Stoics believed that by intentionally embracing discomfort, you're readying yourself for life's unpredictability. So when the storms come, you're already equipped to handle them. Seneca, another Stoic thinker, practiced sleeping on the floor, eating simple meals, and wearing worn clothes, not out of self-loathing, but as a form of self-discipline. Why? Because when life strips away your comforts, you won't be caught off guard. You'll be prepared. Here's the reality. Discomfort isn't your enemy. It's a reflection of who you are and, more importantly, who you're becoming. We often dodge small pains today, only to face greater ones tomorrow. But if you lean into that discomfort and walk through it with awareness, something incredible happens. You stop fearing the pain, and that's where true freedom begins. From now on, think of discomfort as a sparring partner. It might leave a mark, but it's also shaping you. Choose one small discomfort today and embrace it, no excuses. Whether it's a cold shower, a heartfelt conversation, or simply sitting with your thoughts, remind yourself that this is how warriors are made. The only way to become unstoppable is to stop running away. I encourage you to drop this affirmation in the comments. Discomfort is my training ground. Let's talk about something important. Stop letting your emotions run the show. How often do you find your feelings dictating your day? Someone makes a snarky comment, and suddenly you're on edge. Plans shift, and your mood takes a nosedive. You feel sluggish, so you skip the gym, the work, the discipline. It's not just you, we all go through this. But here's the hard truth. If you let your emotions control you, You're essentially a prisoner to them. The Stoics believed that being a slave to your emotions is even worse than being physically chained. Epictetus, a former slave who became a Stoic philosopher, said, "Anyone who can provoke your anger becomes your master. They can only do this if you allow yourself to be disturbed by them." Think about that for a moment. That driver who cut you off, you just gave them your peace of mind. That breakup, you handed over your sense of self. That one nasty comment online, you traded it for your happiness. Stoicism doesn't ask you to ignore your feelings. It encourages you to observe and understand them, responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. There's a big difference between a child and a Stoic. A child throws a fit, while a Stoic sits calmly in the storm and reflects. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful figures of his time, wrote in his personal journal, which we now know as Meditations, that if you're troubled by something external, the pain doesn't come from the thing itself but from how you perceive it. And guess what? You have the power to change that perception at any moment. That's the kind of control we often overlook, the ability to remain unshaken by things that don't deserve our energy. And yes, it's tough because it means you can't point fingers anymore. You can't say, "He made me angry," or "She ruined my day." You come to realize it's all on you. Your reaction is your choice. But here's the empowering part. You can choose differently. You don't have to be a slave to your emotions. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can experience fear and still push forward. You can feel sadness without letting it consume you. That's what emotional strength looks like. That's the essence of Stoic freedom. The next time you find yourself feeling triggered, try this. Take a moment to pause. Don't rush into action. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, is this feeling serving me right now? Respond with intention. This isn't about being robotic. It's about taking control. When you stop letting your emotions dictate your actions, you become clear, calm, and powerful. You show up with steadiness and people take notice. You won't be swayed by every little thing anymore. You're grounded. In today's emotionally chaotic world, that kind of stability is rare, magnetic, and unstoppable. Real growth starts when you stop being a puppet and take charge as the master of your own life. Now, let's talk about fairness. Stop expecting it. Life doesn't owe you anything. One of the quickest paths to suffering is to think life should be fair. Let that sink in for a moment. You put in the hard work, and someone who slacks off gets the promotion. You love deeply, and they walk away. You do the right thing and still face consequences. That's when the anger kicks in. This isn't fair. But here's the Stoic truth. Fairness is a myth we create, not a universal law. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You can commit injustice by doing nothing." Even he, the Emperor of Rome, witnessed injustice daily. Instead of complaining, blaming, or spiraling into despair, he anchored himself in one unshakable truth. Life isn't about fairness. It's about strength. The Stoics didn't expect life to be kind to them. They anticipated pain, loss, betrayal, and change. And because they were prepared for it, they could handle it. Let's be real. Fairness is a lovely concept, but it can also make you weak if you hold on to it too tightly. When we say, "This isn't fair," what we often mean is, "I don't like how this feels and I don't want to deal with it." But here's the deal. Growth doesn't come from expecting life to be fair. It comes from facing the truth and pushing ahead anyway. Just take a look around. Bad things happen to good people, and sometimes the wrong folks come out on top. Hard work doesn't always lead to rewards. That's not being negative. It's just how life is. Now, what really sets the unstoppable apart from the average? The average person waits for fairness to show up. But the Stoic? They cultivate an inner strength so powerful that nothing from the outside can shake them. This doesn't mean you have to become cold or unfeeling. It means you stop waiting for the world to treat you well and start treating yourself well, no matter how the world behaves. Seneca once said, "Sometimes, just living is an act of courage, especially when life feels unfair." So here's the plan. Instead of whining, turn that pain into fuel. Develop skills that are so impressive they can't be overlooked. Love deeply without strings attached. When betrayal comes your way, hold your head high and keep moving forward. The Stoic mindset is all about taking radical responsibility, not because everything is your fault, but because you always have a choice in how to respond. You can't control how life hits you, but you can control your reaction. And that calm, grounded response, that's what makes you truly unstoppable. Fairness isn't guaranteed, but freedom is something you earn one powerful choice at a time. So, number 4, focus on what you can control and let go of the rest. The Stoics had a fascinating perspective. They believed that your true power is tucked away in a small, specific area, what you can control. Everything beyond that, just let it go. Epictetus put it quite simply: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Here's where many people stumble. They try to control others, predict the future, and obsess over outcomes. Then they're left feeling anxious, powerless, and angry. So let's break it down. What can you actually control? Your thoughts, your choices, your actions, and your responses. Everything else, opinions, chance, uncertainty, is out of your hands. You can't control the weather, but you can choose how to dress for it. You can't dictate whether people like you, but you can control how you treat them. You can't change the economy, but you can decide how much you learn, how you spend your money, and how you prepare for the future. This shift in focus is huge. It hands your power back to you instead of letting you be pulled in 100 different directions by things you can't influence. You become strong and centered in your own actions. Picture yourself in a storm at sea. The Stoic doesn't scream at the wind. He takes the wheel and steers the ship. That's what keeps you calm when others are panicking, focused when others are complaining, and disciplined when others are drifting. It's not about ignoring the outside world. It's about choosing where to direct your attention. And remember, about 90% of what people worry about is completely beyond their control. Here's a simple practice. Whenever you feel stressed, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, then take action. If it's no, then let it go. It's really that simple. Yes, easy? Not quite. Powerful? Absolutely. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that the real power lies within our minds, not in the chaos of the outside world. Once you grasp this, you'll discover true strength. And when you embody this mindset, people will take notice. You become unshakable, not because you can control everything around you, but because you've mastered control over yourself, no matter what life throws your way. Now, let's talk about the 5th principle. Embrace voluntary hardship to forge an unbreakable will. In a society that craves comfort, discipline transforms into a superpower. The Stoics didn't wait for life to throw challenges at them. They sought out challenges themselves, not to inflict suffering, but to build resilience, not to punish, but to prepare. Seneca once advised, set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, asking yourself, is this the condition I feared? This is what voluntary hardship looks like. A deliberate choice to experience discomfort to cultivate a mind that won't shatter under pressure. Now, consider this. Many people today go to great lengths to avoid discomfort. They never skip a meal, they never sit in silence, and they never forego convenience. But what happens when life gets tough? They crumble, they panic, they start pointing fingers. The Stoics, on the other hand, have already prepared for those tough days. They've practiced dealing with hunger, fatigue, rejection, boredom, and struggle. This doesn't make them invincible. It makes them adaptable. You don't build willpower by binge-watching motivational videos. You build it by intentionally doing the things you'd rather avoid. Voluntary hardship might look like this: fasting for 24 hours to remind yourself that you can control your cravings, taking a cold shower when every part of you is screaming to stay warm, or saying no to a luxury you can easily afford just to sharpen your self-discipline. Waking up early to train when all your body wants is to stay in bed can be tough. But those little choices, they add up, and before you know it, you become a force to be reckoned with. Not because you're punishing yourself, but because you've come to understand something important. Comfort doesn't build strength, challenge does. When life throws hardships your way, and it will, you won't shy away. Instead, you'll smile, knowing you've already faced the fire by choice. Marcus Aurelius led during times of plagues, wars, and betrayals. Yet he wrote with such calm and clarity. Why? Because he expected hardship. It wasn't a surprise to him. And when you anticipate challenges, they lose their power to paralyze you. So instead of asking, how can I make life easier? Try asking, how can I grow stronger? Get comfortable with being hungry. Embrace solitude. Learn to deal with being cold, tired, rejected, and bored, all while staying focused. One day, life will throw more at you than you think you can handle. And when that day comes, you'll rise to the occasion. Next, let go of the need to control outcomes. Fall in love with the journey. We've been conditioned to fixate on results. Landing the job, winning the deal, hitting the target, making money, gaining admiration. But Stoicism teaches us to shift our focus. Detach from the outcome and hone your process. Why? Because results are never guaranteed, but your effort is always in your hands. As Epictetus said, freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. When you cling to results, you set yourself up for disappointment. You hit the gym for a week, don't see those abs, and you give up. You launch a project, it flops, and you feel worthless. You love someone, they leave, and you crumble. But what if you fell in love with the work itself? The act of showing up, writing, building, thinking, learning, and putting in the effort? That's the Stoic way. Because when you focus on the process, you always come out ahead, even if the outcome isn't what you envisioned. And here's the kicker. Isn't it funny how when you stop fixating on the outcome, you actually start to achieve more? You become less desperate, less emotional, and less reliant on validation. Instead, you find yourself grounded in action. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." In other words, stop stressing over what might happen and just focus on your process with courage right now. If you're a writer, write not for the sake of going viral, but to sharpen your mind. If you're an athlete, train not just to win, but to truly master your body. If you're building something, do it not for applause, but for the pride that comes from your effort. The moment you tie your self-worth to outcomes, you become fragile. But when you tie it to discipline, intention, and focus, you become unstoppable. Here's a shift in mindset inspired by Stoicism. Show up as if the result is already achieved, and just enjoy the craft, regardless of whether you fail or succeed. And guess what? You've already won because you put in the work. Now let's talk about embracing death. Live with urgency and purpose. So many people act like they're going to live forever, wasting time, delaying dreams, and getting stuck in bad habits and toxic relationships. The Stoics reflected on death not to be morbid, but to awaken themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." That's not fear, it's freedom. It's the understanding that life is short, and we don't get to choose when it ends. So every moment wasted is a moment we'll never get back. Let that sink in for a moment. You can't just sit around waiting for someday to arrive. You can't keep telling yourself, "I'll get to it later." You can't take for granted that tomorrow is a sure thing. The Stoics had this practice called memento mori, which means remember you will die. They didn't bring it up to be morbid. They did it to help us stay focused, present, and intentional. When you truly grasp that your time is limited, you start to stop wasting it. You quit scrolling endlessly on your phone. You let go of pointless arguments, stop settling for mediocrity, and begin to create, love, and take action. Right now, not later. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." You might not have control over how long you live, but you absolutely control how deeply you live. And the most dangerous lie out there is thinking there's plenty of time. Spoiler alert, there isn't. That risk you keep dodging, that business idea you keep putting off, that person you've been meaning to forgive, that change you keep promising to make next year. This is your moment. This is your time. The Stoic doesn't shy away from death. He looks it straight in the eye and says, "You won't catch me sleeping through my life." This awareness doesn't breed anxiety. It makes you feel alive, because the person who truly remembers death speaks honestly, loves freely, works with urgency, lets go of their ego, and stops fearing failure because the ultimate failure is living a wasted life. Live like you're on borrowed time because you are. And when you do, you become magnetic, focused, and powerful. You stop chasing cheap validation and start moving with purpose. People notice it. You feel it. Number 8. Be a warrior for virtue, not for approval. Let's be real. Most people are all about those likes, the praise, the attention, and the applause. But a Stoic? They don't sway with the crowd. They stand firm for what's right. Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter. In simpler terms, live with honor even if no one's watching. Speak the truth, even if there's no applause. Keep your promises, even if it costs you something. Train hard, even when no one's there to see it. That's what virtue is all about. It's what shapes a soul that can't be bought. And remember, it's not about being flawless. It's about being principled. Now, here's the tough part. Doing the right thing is often the hardest choice. It's way easier to lie, to impress, or to seek approval than it is to be true to yourself. But every time you choose what's right over what's easy, you sharpen your edge. You become someone your future self can look up to. You create an identity that can't be taken away from you. Seneca reminds us, I will govern my life and thoughts as if the whole world were to see the one and read the other. That's real power. That's a life that won't crumble under pressure because it's built on integrity. In a world obsessed with image, the Stoic remains authentic. In a world full of noise, the Stoic finds stillness. In a world of performance, the Stoic is genuine. You want to be unstoppable? Don't live for the praise. Live for your values. Live in a way that, even if you lose your status, money, or followers, you'd still stand tall. Because the moment you stop needing the crowd, you become the kind of person they'll want to follow anyway. Be the warrior for what's right, not what's popular. And even if you find yourself walking alone, walk like it's the only path that truly matters. If you've made it this far, it means there's something deep within you that's ready to evolve. It's time to leave behind the distractions, the weaknesses, the emotional chaos, and step into something greater. Not perfection, but power. Not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. It doesn't just give you comfort. It brings you clarity and direction. It paves the way for a life filled with meaning, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Think of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. They didn't write for an easy world. They wrote to navigate through storms, battles, betrayals, and the inevitability of death with dignity. They showed us that true strength isn't about having big muscles or a fat wallet. It's about the person who keeps their promises, the woman who stands tall in the face of fear, and the soul that chooses to do what's right, especially when it's tough. You don't have to wait for motivation or the perfect moment. All you need to do is start right now. Train your mind, brace for challenges, let go of the need for specific outcomes, and hold on to your principles. Live as if your time is limited, because it is. The beautiful thing is, you don't need applause or validation from others. You don't need anyone to fully understand you. When you walk the Stoic path, you cultivate an unshakable strength from within. And that kind of strength, it's rare, it's genuine, and it's yours. I encourage you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I am becoming unshakable day by day. If this message struck a chord with you, if something inside you sparked with truth, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, share your favorite law in the comments and pass this along to someone on their journey. Make sure to subscribe to the channel too. We're building a community of thinkers, warriors, and genuine souls who crave more than just noise. We want to live with purpose. And remember, don't skip any part of your life. It's all training, all transformation. Keep showing up, keep choosing strength, and don't stop until you become unstoppable.